And a very good afternoon, everybody, and happy Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Sandy Elson, and this webinar is being brought to you by the travel professional community and homebasedtravelagent.com, and our host for today, who is Scenic Cruises. Our speaker for Scenic Cruises is Randy Goodrich. Randy is going to be telling us and showing us a lot about Scenic's new ship, the Scenic Eclipse, the world's first luxury discovery yacht. Randy does travel agent training for both sister cruise lines, Scenic Cruises and Emerald Waterways, and is also a business development manager in many states for both cruise lines. As always, we really appreciate the support we get from both Scenic and Emerald. Before we get started, please remember that you're all muted, but we welcome your questions. You can type in your questions at any time during this webinar in the question area you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. At the end of Randy's presentation, we'll get to as many questions as we can. So let's get to all this exciting information about Scenic Eclipse and Scenic Cruises. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you, Sandy. It's a pleasure to be with everybody. Thank you for taking the time to learn some more about Scenic and some of the special features, the new ship, some of the new things for 2017. We'll go through all that, including a little bit of history. And this is all about giving you some more product knowledge so you can put your clients with the right product. It may not be for every one of your clients, but there's clients out there that would just love the Scenic experience. So let's tell you why. So it all started with Scenic 30 years ago. This is our 30th anniversary. It surprises a lot of people because a lot of people haven't heard much about it, but it's an Australian company. It was started in 1986 by Glenn Moroney. Glenn was new out of college and trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. And his dad suggested that maybe he go out and help try to organize, clean up a motel that he and his buddies owned out in Warrnambool, Australia, and figure out how to fill that thing up. So he did that and started renting some buses and taking people out to this renovated hotel, and that's how it all started. He then started doing tours throughout Australia, New Zealand, and by 2000 he changed his name to Scenic Tours and quickly became one of the largest luxury tour operators in the world. To give you an idea how big that is, that's the picture right there is the Banff Springs Hotel, Fairmont Hotel in Banff, Canada, and Scenic is actually the largest client, supplying rooms to Fairmonts around the world. And so that gives you a little bit of idea how big they are. They're also the largest provider of cabins for Holland America and Princess for their Alaska cruises of any company outside the United States. So very good sized company. So they're serving tours in 7 continents around the world, all English speaking, of course. And then in 2008, after having chartered some river cruise ships from some of the competitors and realizing that it was a pretty good business because he went from chartering a few weeks to chartering 17 weeks in 2007 and decided that maybe there's a business there. And so in 2008, he started Scenic River Cruises. He calls them spaceships because he decided that they should be a little more spacious. Cabins bigger, the public rooms bigger, so he put fewer cabins on these ships. The first ones built for the Rhine, Main, and Danube are all 443 feet long, so that's the maximum length. But instead of having a couple hundred passengers, they have a maximum of 169 passengers. So he was the first to have balconies, all balconies of the second and third deck, first to have multiple dining choices, first to offer butler service for all cabins, first to have multiple shore excursions. So a lot of firsts, and he continues to do that for some of his new builds, and we'll talk about that later. Currently, as of this year, we opened up Southeast Asia, both Mekong and actually the Irrawaddy. That ship will be done and ready for sailing in September. We also opened up the Douro this year, built our own ship, believe it or not, if you know the Douro. Somebody owns all the ships there for the competitors, but we have our own ship, so we can provide special features on that ship and even our own docks. So we're serving all of the main rivers of Europe, and we also have a sailing with 112 passenger ship up in Russia, St. Petersburg, Moscow. So that's the current. In 2014, we founded and started Emerald Waterways. This was founded because Mr. Maroney felt he needed a four-star type of ship out there to compete, quite frankly, with Viking, who was really, with their advertising, generating a lot of interest. But we needed something. Scenic is priced higher than Viking in most cases, not all, but in most cases, although Scenic includes a ton more than they do. But he felt he needed a four-star ship, and so now he actually has five ships, four ships actually this year, and is building a fifth big ship next year and two other ships next year as well, one in the Rhone, one in the Douro, but we'll talk about that later. Let's, oh, my slide's a little backed up here. So anyway, let's talk about Emerald for a little bit. It was voted, it's only been in the sailing for 2 years. The first year it got voted as the best new river cruise ship design by Cruise Critic, and last year they gave it the best value in river cruising. As I mentioned, five ships as of next year on the Rhine, Main, and Danube, those various itineraries, all the Rhine or all the Danube, or going across between Amsterdam and Budapest when you go through all three rivers. We're building a new ship, the Liberté, for Rhone, which would be a slightly smaller ship, and the Radiance on the Douro will be even a little bit smaller than that. And we've got some charters in Mekong and Irrawaddy. The big difference when you look at Emerald, when you compare it to some of the other mainstream U.S. operators, as well as on the tours for services. So that's very important. That can be hundreds of dollars per person per week difference that people don't have to shell out at the end of the cruise. We also offer a tour every day, of course, but we also offer at least one extra per week called Emerald Plus, which is just kind of an extra special short version. We also offer all transfers, and that's all provided for. So it just, you need to look at the differences there and see. But let's focus on Scenic now. Scenic, as I mentioned, is 5 stars. This is we have 17 ships as of September when the new ship for the Irrawaddy comes in. These are our current brochures. The one on the left is our 2017 full brochure. This came out about 2 weeks ago, so you should have these by now if you're on our list. They will come to you automatically if you booked Scenic in the past. If you have not booked Scenic in the past, you may get one in the mail, but you can go online, scenicusa.com, and certainly order more or contact your business development manager, and I'll give you that information later. The one in the middle is our Southeast Asia brochure, and the one on the right is our new Eclipse ocean-going yacht, and I'll show you more about that later. So Scenic really is for your very discriminating clients who really want the best and want everything prepaid. So they don't have to worry about every time they order a drink what it's going to cost them, every time they do an extra short excursion what is it going to cost them, things like that. The only thing they can be charged for on the ship is a massage or a haircut, or there is a very, very limited gift shop, and there's also an upscale wine and champagne list if they want it. They don't really need it. The wines that are provided are excellent. So anyway, 90% of our clients don't even have a bill when they check out, and in fact, we don't even take their credit card when they check in. So this kind of rundown of all the things that are included with Scenic, and this would be also included for the new Scenic Eclipse. So transfers, Wi-Fi, tips, gratuities, 6 dining choices on board. Nobody comes close to that. Choices of all kinds of liquid refreshments you can think of. When they serve wine, for example, at lunch and dinner, you can have it anytime you want it, but at lunch and dinner they'll have it 6 reds and 6 whites and rosé and something. They have quite a selection, so that we understand that people like different types of white wine and different types of red wine. So we try to appeal to all those different tastes. When I call it, what they do is not, you've got all inclusive. If you include a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you can be all inclusive. And when it comes to Scenic, they're all inclusive to the nth degree. They don't just include it; they include a lot of it, and they include the very best products. So the spirits are going to be top shelf, things like that. You have a mini bar. You have a butler. I mentioned earlier. That's all cabins have that. The mini bar in the cabin. Now we don't provide the liquor in Russia for some odd reason, but they apparently do a lot of vodka tastings up there. All the cabins in the second and third deck have the balcony, walk-on balcony, with the unique feature called the Sun Lounge, where the outer part of the balcony, instead of having a railing, it's a double glass panel. And if you're sitting out there and having a nice time, it starts getting a little chilly or raining or windy, you can simply push a button and the second panel will enclose the balcony, so you can continue to enjoy that ambiance out there without getting cold, wet, or whatever. The big difference really with Scenic, because the focus of all river cruises really is the destination. We all go to the same destinations. So how can we, with our tour knowledge, make that experience for your client even better? And so what we do is we have multiple short excursions. So it's not just one short excursion. There will be anywhere from 2 to 6 different choices each day, depending where we are. Now, they can't take them all, but they're all included in the price. So what your client focuses on is what they really want to do the most, and then they can go do that without worrying about what it costs or anything else. And then we also have some special events. So these are exclusive events, like we call Scenic and Rich. This is like, dinner in a castle, a private concert in Vienna, not with any other people. These are very unique experiences. Probably one of the most unique, as an example, is on the Rhone River. We actually have a dinner and concert in the Palais de Pop, the Pope's Palace. We're the only private company allowed to do that. So, and then we have sundowners. That's an afternoon wine reception or cocktails out in some really cool, unique place. Like there's one on the Danube up on the highest castle overlooking the Waha Valley. Part of it's kind of run down, so it's kind of got a really cool atmosphere about it. Very unique event. And then what do people do otherwise when they're on shore? Well, we have the tailor-made device. That's a proprietary GPS that's about the size of the bigger iPhones now. It's 2 of those in every cabin. They can take those out and wander on their own without fear of getting lost. They're preloaded with tours as well. They can also have them running while they're on the ship, and it'll be telling them where we're going, what's coming up, so they don't miss things like that. And then we also have e-bikes. So instead of having regular bikes, which we had for years, we've gone to e-bikes, which are quite a bit more expensive, but we think it's important because it allows more people to enjoy that experience of taking a bike out and just seeing things on their own. Take the GPS with them so they don't get lost. But it's just we see a lot more of the clients actually enjoying the bikes now. And then we did add laundry concierge this year. And then the big news today for both Scenic and Emerald have come up for 2017 with the cruise guarantee. And we'll go through that a little bit later. So this is a chart, and I'm happy to share this with you, Sandy. I don't know if we can upload that for people to download, but we can share this with you. It's created by River Cruise Advisor. It's a third party. It has nothing to do with Scenic. They represent and travel on all the various river cruise companies and do their own comparison. You can see there with the red line that Scenic sets the bar quite high, as there's some things we do that nobody else even offers. But it's very important for you to understand this chart and use it when you're talking to your clients who are wanting to take a river cruise. Because even with Emerald right above Scenic, they've got 6 different check marks on what's included. And when your client's coming in saying, I really want to do this, and you know your client really likes a lot of this stuff, and they like inclusiveness, and they're saying, I want to go on this particular line, and you know that particular line only has 2 or 3 check marks. This will give you a tool to show them and say, okay, I just want you to know that for the same price, you could go on Emerald, who includes more things. So we, on average, probably $500–600 per person per week is the savings that you're going to get. So when you compare pricing, remember, what does the price include? And of course, with Scenic, that's the very highest level of all-inclusive. Again, happy to share that with you. So that's the new brochure that just came out. What's new? So here's the River Cruise Guarantee. Basically what this says, this is not travel insurance. It's not meant to take place of travel insurance. That's the first thing you need to know. This is included in the price. There's no cost to it, to the customer, but we feel it's very important. So if we have to cancel a cruise because of high water, low water, or because of some issues with the locks and we can't get through, like there were in France, there was a strike. It's over now, but that was causing a lot of disruption for the river cruise companies because the locks were shut down. Some of the bridges weren't working. There are all kind of little details there. And also if we have a mechanical on our ship, which we haven't had, knock on wood to date, but you never know. We're not going to give them a credit like some people might for a future cruise. We actually give them their money back. So that we feel is a real selling tool for you. If customers come up and say, "Well, I'm worried about the fact that the cruise might be canceled because the water is going to be low, like it was last year." Well, one, we very rarely ever cancel a cruise. We find ways around it. We do ship swaps. Can't say that very fast. And so we have a ship coming up the Danube, one coming down. Typically the blockage in low water is around Regensburg and Passau. And so we just take the people off. We have our own buses, so the buses will take the people, take them to the other ship. And the ships are identical, so it works pretty seamlessly. There was a lot of problem a couple weeks ago on the Danube, and we didn't cancel any trips and didn't have any complaints. Everybody got taken care of. So, anyway, but just in case, we have the guarantee now. Now we have some new amenities coming out next year for the Diamond Deck. The Diamond Deck is the top deck. What's the main amenity has been there in the past is that they get invited to have to dine at the table of Rive, which is a limited dining table, 6 course, 6 wine pairings. It's like a captain's table. We don't invite the captain to it, but it's like a captain's table, and it's a very, very nice experience for people who like wine dinners, chef dinners, things like that. So that's been the amenity. It still is one of the amenities. But we're also now, for people that upgrade to the Diamond Deck, they're going to have a private transfer from the airport to the ship and the ship back to the airport. So it'll be a limousine car type thing as opposed to maybe using one of our buses. They also get preferred seating for dining, and there's a captain's cocktail party that they'll be able to attend. So a little bit more reason for them to pay the couple $100 extra to go up to the top deck. We're also adding biking and culinary focused itineraries. So the biking is going to be on the Danube and the Bordeaux, and there's very specific departure dates for that. It's all spelled out in the brochure. We'll have our dedicated guides or mechanics. We'll have supply road bikes, support vehicles. So it's really focused on those clients you might have that really want to go out and bike the hills along the Danube or to the wine country of Bordeaux. Wonderful. And then in France, we're really focusing more on culinary. We're adding next year to the ship in Bordeaux and the ship in the Rhone, a culinary area called Culinary, and that's going to have 5 stations where people can actually have cooking class on board. It's going to be in lieu of one of the excursions, they can stay on board and have a cooking class. So that's something that's been requested by a lot of people, and we're taking care of that. It should be very cool. There'll be, in addition to that, on some special sailings. So the culinary is there on all the sailings, but on special sailing dates, there will be a real culinary focus, where there'll be some off-the-ship meals that will be organized, different wine tastings, visits to the market with the chef, cooking classes, of course, and more things. So some really interesting focused type of itineraries. Now in France, I mentioned they're going to add the Culinary, little cooking school. That's going to be in the Crystal Dining Room, our main dining room. It can take up to 10 guests. We're also adding on those ships in France a gym and a wellness center. So the ship, the Emerald and the Diamond, those 2 ships, are 2 of our older ships. I mean, our ships are all new as of 2012, so it's all relative. But They were the first ones. We didn't have a gym and wellness center, and we're putting that in on the first deck. So we're taking some cabins out to do that. We're also adding a Royal Owner's Suite, which would be up on the Diamond deck. And we've taken a Royal Suite, which is one of our larger suites, and combined it with one of the regular balcony suites to make a 510 square foot suite, the largest ones out there anywhere, and just absolutely gorgeous midship. There's also a Vitality pool being added to the top decks. So we just kind of went through all that. Just went through that, jumping ahead of myself. So there are some booking incentives for 2017. I guess we're continuing to, we're offering a currency card. So one of our themes has always been, not necessarily leave your wallet at home, but you don't need to give us your credit card when you check in, and if there's going to be a gift card, $100 per person for the shorter cruises up to 11 days, and $200 for 12-day plus that they can use on board for massage, for gift shop, things like that. That's about all you can use it for. Everything else is included. So that's good until the end of August. So get your clients on the board there. Give you something to book. Now for 2018, that's where the new ship comes in. So this is Mr. Maroney's dream ship. He calls it the world's first discovery yacht, as opposed to expedition. Expedition kind of renders more of a theme of getting out and hiking and walking, and not that you can't do that. It's just that this is for your real discriminating clients who have maybe perhaps done everything and come to you and say, well, what's new out there? What can I do? Well, this is certainly something. And because it's got 2 helicopters and a submarine on board, so they not only go to some wonderful places, but they can go out beyond the shoreline. Like in Antarctica, they can actually travel in and see the march of the penguins. The penguins have marched away from the shoreline, and it's pretty hard to run after them. So we take the helicopter out and be able to see it that way. They can go underwater, see the whales, see the penguins, the shipwrecks, things like that. So there's quite a bit, and they have some just wonderful itineraries. Again, it's all inclusive. Everything's included except the massage area. The spa on board that's 5,000 square feet. This is only a ship that takes 228 passengers. So it's not a very big ship, but it's got a 5,000 square foot spa. Amazing. And but you also get charged for the helicopter and the submarine. Not a lot. It's nothing exorbitant. It's not where we're going to make any money, but we have to charge something for it because we probably can't accommodate everybody at the same time. So there's 7 passengers, so you have to wait in line for that one. And it's 228 passengers, but in the Arctic and the Antarctic, we limit it to 200 and bring more Discovery team members on board. But there's some limitations in the Arctic areas on how many people we can bring up to shore per day. We'll have some diving programs some of those will have an additional charge. They will be mainly when the ship is cruising in the Med or the Caribbean, a little warmer water. I'm not sure where else it might be happening. But first sailing is August 31st, 2018. I can tell you some sailings have been chartered already. Our Antarctic sailings, which we knew would be popular because this is the highest class of Arctic icebreaker class ship there is. And it's got all the state-of-the-art features in it. So it can actually has a new propulsion system with electric motors, and so you don't have a lot of the vibration and whatnot. But that system, number one, can keep the ship centered on a spot, so they don't need to use anchors and tear up the bottom of the ocean floor. But they can stay very stable, and the propellers can also be reversed, and it can actually chop them out of a block of ice if that should happen. So safety and comfort are the 2 primary focuses in the design and building of the ship, and it's starting to be built now, different segments of it, but it's starting to sell. It's over 30% sold, and some of the itineraries, like I said, are chartered or pretty well sold out. already. 2 years away. So there's 30 different segments. They basically have 8 segments in Antarctica from December 18 to March 18. That's where we'll focus and spend our time. Then they, in the spring, the ship starts in Istanbul, its first sailing, and has 3 or 4 sailings in the Med, then comes over to Miami, and we'll have 3 sailings in Cuba, one of which is already chartered, and the others have multiple groups on them, so that space is running down quite quickly. But in the spring, it's going to, from Cuba, it goes down through the canal, goes down South America, and spends the winter in Antarctica. And then it will come up to the Med and spend the spring in the Med, and then start to work its way up north to the British Isles, and end up in the Norwegian fjords, all the way up to Longyearbyen, way up north of the Arctic Circle, come back down, go over to Iceland, spend a couple of sailings around Iceland, and then come back to North America. So quite an itinerary. There's some very, very unique itineraries. If you don't have that brochure yet, you should get it and take a look at it, because again, for those customers, maybe they've done Antarctica, they're not interested in that, but they want something unique. There's some very unique things, and with the helicopter and the submersible, that certainly adds some additional uniqueness to it. So where do you get more information about us, and how do you book us, and all that good stuff? And so we have an agent portal. So our website is scenicusa.com, and that's going to contain both the river cruise and the Eclipse Ocean Yacht information. So there's tons of information there. There's lots of videos. We have lots and lots of videos there. We have lots of videos on YouTube. The videos is a great, about a 6.5 minute video on the Eclipse. You have people that might be interested. You can copy that link to that video and send it to them and have them take a look. And it's very, very educational, but very exciting. It's just going to be an absolutely gorgeous ship. If you want to book us, you can obviously call reservations. Reservations quite often is busy. You have somebody on the line that wants to know availability. Well, the best thing to do is get into Express Books. So Express Books is our booking engine. This is, you go into the agent portal area, which is a link on the upper left of the main page. And then you go down and it says book quote. You click book online. You have to be registered. So there is a registration option here. The second one down, online registration. Now your agency hopefully is registered already, and if so, you can get their master username and password, and then sign up underneath that, or you can get your own access. It's a great program. Also on this page is information about our group program. It takes only 5 cabins to get a group, so that should be pretty easy in most cases. Because you get a couple people going, a couple couples, you'd be surprised how quickly by just mentioning to them, if they could gather a few more of their friends or family, that you put a group together and certain perks for everybody. And then the business development managers, that all their contact information is there. The specialist program, that's something you want to take before you book, because there's a booking incentive for your first booking, so it's worth a couple $100 maybe for you. So anyway, make sure you take that. There's a link on the site to that program. It's not too difficult. I wrote it, so I made the test fairly easy. But we want you to just go through and take the time to learn a little bit more about us. And then, of course, you can order brochures, and there's some media things on that site. As far as the booking engine, this is the quickest way. Within, if you were to come to me and say, hey, I got a client wants to do the, well, in this case, this is one of the Eclipse availabilities for July 2019. That's already in the system. But let's be more focused on the river cruise side. If it was you wanted to do the Danube next May, I tell you, within 30 seconds, I'll have you looking at live availability. This is live. Next page, you can look at the cabin layout. The cabins with the numbers, the white numbers, those are available. The others are all sold out. So it's kind of crazy. The cruise is 3 years away, and half the cabins are gone already. So it makes it very simple for you to talk to your customer about which cabins are open. they want to chew together or across or whatever, there it is right there for you without having to talk to anybody and wait on hold. And then at that point, you can create a quote, or you can go ahead and book, and they have 48 hours to make the deposit. So, and then this would be the pricing, the schedule of the payments. So you can see the schedule of payments with the River Cruise side is $500 per person, non-refundable deposit, and then the final payment is due 90 days prior to departure. Unless they buy one of our airfare deals, at the time they buy that, there's an additional $1,500 deposit. So we have to cover, we actually buy the tickets. This is Eclipse, so there is, because it's so far out, we have an initial deposit of $1,000, and then we have a second deposit, in this case, of $2,000, and then by 2019, 2018, they're going to need to do the 25%, which is pretty standard with some of the other cruise lines. They want a 25% full deposit. And then final payment is 90 days prior to departure. So with that, I am done going over all that. There's a ton more information, both online and through your BDMs. I think, I don't have that slide. Hold on a second. I want to get another slide up. This is a new PowerPoint. They didn't put it in there. Okay, got it. So that's contact information right there for you to see who your local manager is. And with that, Sandy, I'll take some questions.
Okay, thanks so much, Randy. This looks incredibly exciting, the whole Scenic Cruise Line, but particularly the Eclipse. It looks like there will be some very exotic itineraries that most people's clients have not done. So this is a great opportunity to think of.
Yeah, I like to tell people we now have a 4-star plus with Emerald. We have a 5-star plus with Scenic, and actually the Eclipse is the 6-star with the helicopters and the sub. So that's 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. We do have several
Something
questions.
for everybody.
Yes, and especially the carriage trade, I would think. It's a good time to identify which of our clients would be best suited for Scenic in general and for the Eclipse in particular, especially since it's selling out so quickly. It's unbelievable that a cruise in 2019 is so selling so well already. Um, let's get to some questions. Is the Scenic Eclipse a new build, or was it taken over from another cruise line? And what was it, if so?
We're building it from scratch. In fact, the final drawings are being completed. I got an update yesterday. They started building different things. I know, for instance, on board they have 2 engine rooms, just for in case something should happen to one. We have a second engine room that's separate, so that's for safety. We have a water treatment plant, and so we treat our own water, so there's no damage to the environment. And that process has started. They started building that. They're starting to build some of the engine and motors, but everything's from scratch. And Mr. Maroney has been hands-on with this whole thing. He's very intelligent, futuristic thinking type of guy, and he's right there watching the whole development of that and the design of that boat.
And I hope he'll be on the first cruise too. I'm sure he wouldn't miss it. After completing the specialist program, do you provide referrals to those agents to clients who call you directly?
Not at this time. That is in the plans for us to do that. You have to have a pretty special system, and we're looking at that. We have to do some things on our side. We have to buy the program that would define the potential of that. So not right now, but we're thinking about it. We're very focused on building the trade business to since we took over a couple of years ago, we being the actual sales force. Before that, they tried to work through third parties, and that didn't work so well. We have increased the amount of bookings through travel agents dramatically, where over 80% of our bookings are through the trade.
Okay, fabulous. Are the prices that you displayed in U.S. dollars, and do you have a Canadian BDM who can help Canadian agents sell this product?
Yeah, that's Canada's separate. They have their own brochures. They have their own pricing. They have their own specials and amenities, things like that. So if you're in Canada, I got the number there for reservations and contact. If you just send an email to Canada@scenictours.com, they even have a different URL than we do, then and ask them who your BDM, depending if you're in Toronto or where you are, they'll let you know who to contact.
Okay, fabulous. We've gotten a couple of questions about the deposit. Is it refundable? And if not, is it transferable if a client books a different date?
It is not refundable. It could be transferred. It depends on the situation. We certainly don't want to lose business because of that, but we also don't want people to take advantage of it too much either and to decide to cancel. So it could be transferred. We do name changes occasionally, things like that. We're not this is Australian. Australians aren't real big on strict rules, but there are some things we have to abide by. So.
Okay, terrific. Are you preferred with any consortia or marketing associations?
We are with we're preferred with Westa here on the West Coast, but NACTA we work with a lot. OSSN we work with, ASTA we work with, but none of the big national consortia. We do a travel society, people like that for sure. We do a lot with virtuoso agencies, even though we're not official with virtuoso. Same with signature, because of the class of ship and service that we offer. It fits a lot of the clients that they go after in their marketing. But we're working on all that. It's a process to get into those organizations, and it's obviously a large expense too.
Yeah, it is. Do you have specific brochures for specific itineraries like Mediterranean cruises, or is everything included in the same brochure?
Well, we have the Europe River Cruise, and we have the Southeast River Cruise brochure, and of course a separate one for the Eclipse. If you, for example, are going to market a group, we can help you with group flyers, and in some cases we've had a brochure specific for France, which those are unique, and we'll have those again. Those are like a four-page fold-out type brochure, the ones I've seen. This year also, I haven't even seen it yet. Our main brochure for Scenic River Cruises is pretty large. Include as much as we can in there, but there's a light version, so it's half the size, I understand. But again, I haven't seen it yet, but it's certainly not as heavy.
Yeah.
So it might be more popular at the trade shows.
Yeah. Can you give us an idea of currently what the demographics are for Scenic as far as age range and percentage of U.S. citizens as opposed to Australians and other nationalities?
Yeah, I sure can. It's actually changing quite a bit. Again, since we started marketing in North America aggressively, in Canada probably 3 years ago, U.S. 2.5 years ago. That's changing it, but it also depends on the length of the trip. Australians, New Zealanders tend to take month-long type vacations. So on the longer itineraries, you probably get more Australians and New Zealanders. Otherwise, you have a lot of UK and now North America. The last couple I've been on, did Bordeaux in October, which was fabulous. A lot of good wine there. And I'd say it was the third from Australia, New Zealand, a third from the United Kingdom, and a third from North America. So it's starting to change. We fully expect North American percentages to really become a much higher percentage. Australia right now is going through a bit of a recession because a lot of their economic wealth comes from China, and so they supply a lot of the natural resources. So with the Chinese economy down a little bit, the Australians down, so we're seeing a higher percentage of people from the UK and North America. What it does, it really makes what I've learned to notice now after being on 4 or 5 of their trips uh, is such a nice international experience, especially for people from the United States. There's a lot of people, a lot of our clients who aren't world travelers, so to speak. They're a little uncomfortable around foreigners because of language and things like that, where everybody speaks English on board. But you can be sitting with somebody that's from Australia, and this has happened to me on every cruise I've been on. I'm talking to the Australians. What's going on there, and what do they like to do? Da da da. And then you turn around, you're talking to somebody from England or Scotland, and the same thing, a totally different viewpoint. You know, so it's really just kind of an added bonus that we're not just really primarily U.S. or Canada. We are truly a global company.
I agree. You can get a really good sense of the way people live their lives in other countries, which is fascinating to me. People who live on a farm in Scotland or, uh,
Yeah,
in a city in somewhere else in the UK. I found that fascinating.
I always
Um,
I
oh,
always end up with the Aussies though. They're a lot of fun to be with.
yeah, and they say the
Also,
same
because
about
of the
you.
Aussies, we don't. The question I get quite often is dress policy. Even though we're a 5-star luxury line, we have no real dress policy. We frown on jeans and shorts at dinner and stuff, but that doesn't mean we stop it. Again, the Aussies are pretty casual. Guy might be worth $5 billion, but he doesn't like to get dressed up. So we don't have a policy like that.
And is there a lower age limit policy as far as children or teens are
12,
concerned?
12 is the minimum, and we only run into that if it's a family that wants to bring some young people. Personally speaking, it's not a company position. This is my personal observation. River cruises are not a great experience for most kids. There's a lot of churches, a lot of history and museums. You may have a young person that, like some of the ones you see on the TV and the spelling bees and stuff, that are just so damn intelligent. They want to learn everything. But that's not the majority for sure. They'll be bored after a couple of days of looking at museums and churches.
You mentioned that Scenic has 6 restaurants on board. Are they all open seating, or do you have specific dining times in some of them?
With the dining room's open seating, come anytime you want. They would say we start at 7, and then if you show up at 8:30, that's fine. Plenty of seating for everybody. There's a River Cafe, which is an all-day deli that's come and go, kind of fast food type stuff. So you can go in and grab a sandwich, a wrap, a salad, a soup, or whatever, and it's lovely. It's up in the lounge, so it's higher up. Now we have Portobello's. Uh, that's a private dining experience for about 34, 35 people a night. You make a reservation which night you want to do that, because typically everybody gets to go once. Again, you just let your butler know, or there's a sign up at the front desk. But when you check in, ask your butler what night he thinks would be best for that, and he'll make that reservation for you. The table to read, that is restricted to just the top deck people. If you have a group and some of the people, not everybody's in the top deck, we might try to, if we have the room, we'll try to make it work, but no guarantees there. But everybody on board can't do it because there's only 10, 12 people a night that are at that table. The other dining choices, by the way, is alfresco dining on the deck. That's for everybody on those nice days, and we'll have just absolutely wonderful layout of food up on the top deck, like going through the Rhine Gorge and looking at 40 castles. What an experience. And then having your favorite beverage, of course, helps. And then the final dining experience is 24-hour room service.
Okay, fabulous. I'm going to ask a couple of more questions. I want to tell our agents if I don't get to your question, or if you think of something after the webinar is over, the Randy has the BDM information up on his screen right now, so make a note of who your BDM is, and you can always get in touch with him or her with the rest of your questions. Randy, does Scenic have any specific theme cruises, and will the Eclipse have theme cruises as well?
Well, I mentioned the bike and the culinary cruises. That's we're moving in that direction. They're on specific departures, so you need to look in the brochure to see or call reservation, find out which dates. If you have a customer that really would be interested in a biking focus, which dates. We have bikes on board all the time, but these are going to be, they bring in the road bikes, the mechanics, they make a big deal out of it. By the way, if your customer wanted to bring their own bike, they can. It's got to, they have to keep it in their cabin. We don't have a place to store them all, but they're allowed to do that. And then as far as Eclipse, I think the theme is going to be the different destination. We're at a different destination just about every week, and that's going to be the theme, whatever that destination presents.
Yeah, those are very exotic sounding cruises. Our last question, can travel agents experience the product, including the Eclipse, agent rates or FAMs or anything like that?
Yeah, it's still too early for the Eclipse to figure out exactly how we're going to do that. Bottom line, we want you to get on board. We find every time we get people on board, agents on board, they come back and they rave about it, and it becomes a darn easy sale because now you can really talk to your client about the differences. Because I've been on all the river cruise companies, sailings, and once I got on Scenic, I was sold pretty quickly on that, and I could sell it to anybody what the differences are. So we want to do that. So we have we have several organized FAMs every year. Those are usually to agents that have been booking us. We want to continue and have groups and things like that. We want to spend some time with them to show them really some of the special features, but most of the time it's just they're treated just like a client, anybody else. But if you want to go, we have space this summer in France, for example. We would love to get you on board. It's a little last minute, but there is space. It's only $495 for an agent, plus the port tax, plus your airfare, and $995 if you have a companion that's not a travel agent. Great deal. The way you do that is look at availability, find a cruise that either call or get onto Express Books, find a cruise that's got an ample amount of space, and then contact your BDM about seeing if that's available. It's $495 is the minimum. It could be more than that, and that's typically for a seven or 8 day cruise, and it's for a balcony cabin. The lowest category, I think, is category C for a balcony cabin, and then you can upgrade from there if it's available. But it's all based on availability and the secret guys in that room called inventory control. They have the magic key to whether they can open it up for you or not.
They hold the power.
They do.
Well, that's about all the questions we have for now. Randy, as always, this has been fantastic. Scenic is such an exciting uh, product, and the Eclipse is just going to be fantastic. Our speaker today has been Randy Goodrich, travel agent trainer and business development manager for both Scenic Cruises and Emerald Waterways. Randy, thank you as usual. This was fantastic.
Thank you, Sandy, very much. And again, thank everybody for participating. I sure appreciate you taking the time. Having been in the industry a long time, I think what makes the difference between a travel agent and doing it yourself for a customer is your product knowledge and your ability to put your customer in the right product, explain to them why, and they respect that, and they'll come back to you and refer business to you. So it's very important you do participate in these webinars and any other trainings you can. I think I see that day in and day out. That makes the difference between a really good, successful travel agent and one that's just okay.
Absolutely. Continuing education is always a great idea because things change and new products come online all the time, and these webinars are just really invaluable for helping us figure out
Well,
what's what.
it's also very confusing to customers because they hear from all sides. They've got friends telling them, "Oh, this river cruise company is the best in the world." Well, in their opinion, it is, but they haven't been on all of them. and they haven't had the training that you have. And so it's very important that you know what the differences are, because it may be the best for them, but it may not be.
That's
And you
very
really
true.
need to.
It's very true. And that's our main job, matching up the wishes and desires and requirements of our clients with the right cruise line for them. So if somebody asks you what's the best cruise line, well, there really is no right answer because it depends on what's the best cruise line for that particular person. So
Right.
again, to our agents, thank you so much for participating in the webinar today. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye. Enjoy the summer.